She said, "Please keep our love a secret just for now." I thought she was just private until I caught her whispering, "I miss you," to another man at midnight. So, I took her phone, read the truth, and gave her exactly what she was hiding from. When I first met Emma, there was something about her that felt so familiar, comforting in a way I hadn't experienced in years. We connected through mutual friends at a work event, and over the next few months, our casual chats gradually turned into late-night calls and spontaneous weekend getaways. She was witty, confident, and sharp, and whenever she looked at me, it felt like I was the only person in her world. After about a year of dating, I proposed. It wasn't some grand gesture. No hidden photographers or elaborate setups. Just the two of us on a rainy Sunday afternoon in my apartment. She said yes, tears in her eyes, cupping my face like she truly meant it. That memory still replays in my mind. But a few days later, she asked for something I hadn't expected. To keep our engagement a secret. At first, I laughed, thinking she was joking. But she wasn't. She sat me down and said softly, "I just want to keep this private. No social media posts, no telling friends yet. Just us for now." I asked her why. She shrugged. "There's nothing wrong. I just prefer my privacy. I've always been like this." It didn't make sense to me. We were both in our early 30s, had stable jobs, and shared mutual friends. We weren't teenagers sneaking around. But I loved her and I trusted her, so I agreed. To be fair, when we were together, it didn't feel like a secret. She stayed over most nights. We cooked dinner together, bickered over laundry, laughed at bad movies. She even kept a toothbrush at my place and had a drawer for her clothes. But outside that bubble, there was this strange silence. When I once tagged her in a casual dinner photo, she immediately messaged me to take it down. "Not yet," she said. "Please." Sometimes I questioned it. Like when her phone rang late at night and she'd step into another room to answer it. Or when a mutual friend casually asked me if I was still single, and I realized Emma hadn't told anyone about us. But then she'd curl up beside me, kiss my cheek, and say something that made me feel foolish for doubting her. Everything seemed okay. We were planning a trip that fall. Not extravagant, just a quiet cabin up north. She picked out the place herself, even sent me a Pinterest board filled with cozy blankets, fire pits, and hiking trails. I told myself this was the real deal. The kind of relationship that didn't need to be shouted from the rooftops to matter. The kind that grows stronger in quiet spaces. But now, looking back, I think I was just trying to convince myself, trying to quiet that growing sense that something wasn't right. Still, I held on. I kept telling myself everyone has their own pace. Maybe she really was just private. Maybe she had a past she wasn't ready to talk about. I didn't want to push her. If you love someone, you give them space to come to you in their own time. But that time never came. It happened on a quiet Thursday night. Nothing unusual. Emma cooked pasta, her comfort food, and we watched some silly reality show on the couch, half talking, half watching. Around 11:30, we went to bed. She lay next to me, scrolling on her phone until eventually she turned off her screen and settled in. I remember her softly saying, "I love you," before turning over. I don't know why I woke up around midnight. Maybe it was the faint creak of the floorboard outside the bedroom door. Or maybe it was just instinct. Her side of the bed was empty. At first, I thought she'd gone to the bathroom, but I didn't hear running water.
No flash.
Just faint murmurs, like someone whispering in the living room. I padded down the hallway barefoot. The living room light was off, but I could make out her silhouette near the window. Phone pressed to her ear. Voice low. "I miss you too," she whispered. That stopped me cold. Her tone wasn't how she spoke to friends. It was softer, warmer, almost romantic. I froze, hoping I'd misheard, trying to rationalize it in my head. Then I walked forward and gently placed my hand on her back. She jumped like she'd been caught doing something she shouldn't. Her head whipped around and she quickly ended the call without even saying goodbye. Just a sharp tap on the screen. Her wide eyes met mine. "Hey," she said, trying to smile like nothing was wrong. "Who was that?" I asked. She looked down. "Just an old friend." At midnight, she gave an awkward laugh. "He's going through a breakup. He needed someone to talk to." "He?" I repeated. She crossed her arms. Yes, an old friend. It's not a big deal. But it was a big deal. I could see it in her body language. The crossed arms, the guarded tone, the way she placed herself between me and her phone. You didn't want me to hear that call? I said. She stayed silent. Can I see your phone? I asked. Her whole demeanor shifted. No, she said firmly. That's private. I didn't yell. I didn't accuse her. I just stood there, staring at someone I thought I knew. You've been asking me to keep our relationship quiet for months, I said. Now I catch you whispering to someone at midnight, and you won't even let me see your phone? Why are you making this a thing? She snapped. You're overreacting. But I wasn't the one hiding in the dark. I wasn't clinging to secrets. Something shifted inside me. It wasn't anger. It was clarity. Just let me see it, I said, quieter this time. If there's nothing to hide, then what's the problem? She looked down, hesitated, then shook her head. No, I don't think that's fair. I didn't argue. I didn't beg. I just reached out and gently took the phone from her hand. She didn't fight it, not really. Her arms wrapped tightly around herself as I opened her messages. The most recent conversation was still open. It was with a contact saved under just a first name. No last name. No emojis. I scrolled up. There were weeks of messages, maybe more. They weren't friendly check-ins. They were late-night confessions. I think about you more than I should. I wish things were different. Spending time with him doesn't feel the same. And then the message from that night. I can't stop thinking about the last time we were together. No breakup talk. No friend in need. Just emotional breadcrumbs leading back to someone she clearly wasn't over. I set the phone down on the coffee table and sat back, staring into nothing. She stood across from me, breathing quietly, hands fidgeting. After a long silence, she finally said, It's complicated.
No, he replied calmly.
It's not. She nodded slowly, almost agreeing, but she didn't know what else to say. I didn't mean for this to happen, she whispered. I didn't want to hurt you. Then why lie? Why drag me into this? Why say yes to a proposal you weren't ready for? She wiped her eyes with her sleeve. Because I wanted to move on. I thought maybe if I chose you, I'd stop missing him. I thought it was the right decision. I believed her. In some broken way, I think she really did mean to let go of the past. But she never actually did. She tried to start a new chapter without closing the last one. And I just happened to be the page she was writing on. The next morning, I made coffee for us both. I didn't slam doors. I didn't raise my voice. I handed her the mug, sat across from her and said, I think you should pack your things. She didn't argue, just nodded.
No dramatic tears. No big.
Just quiet resignation on both sides. Maybe she expected me to scream, to fight, but I didn't have the energy. As I watched her pack her things, I didn't feel anger, just disappointment, a sense of letting go not of a person, but of the illusion I'd been clinging to. She paused at the door, suitcase in hand. I'm sorry, she said. You didn't deserve this. I nodded. Take care of yourself. And just like that, she was gone. It's been months now. Life has moved on. I've gone back to my routines, reconnected with people I drifted from. But some nights, I still think about that moment by the window, how quickly trust can break. What do you think? Was I too calm? Should I have reacted differently? Hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more content. The next morning felt heavy, but not chaotic. I didn't slam doors. I didn't even raise my voice. I got up early, made 2 cups of coffee like I always did, and set them on the table. She walked into the kitchen slowly, her eyes puffy from crying, wearing the same oversized sweatshirt she'd fallen asleep in weeks ago when everything still felt normal. I handed her a cup and sat down across from her. I think you should pack your things, I said softly. She didn't protest. She didn't ask for another chance or try to explain again. She just nodded like she had already rehearsed this moment in her mind. The apartment was silent except for the sound of her moving around the bedroom, unzipping suitcases, folding clothes she'd once left scattered on my floor like she owned the place. I didn't watch her pack. Couldn't. I just sat on the couch, staring at the blank TV screen, feeling more tired than angry. After about an hour, she walked to the door, suitcase in hand. She paused, looked back at me with glassy eyes and said, "I'm sorry. You didn't deserve this." I nodded. "Take care of yourself," and that was it. No screaming, no dramatic goodbye. She closed the door gently behind her, and I sat there, listening to the echo of her leaving. For a while, I just sat in silence, staring at the floor, trying to process everything. It's been a few months now. Life didn't stop, it just shifted. I've settled back into my routines, gone back to the gym, reconnected with friends I hadn't seen in years. But some nights, when the apartment is too quiet, I still see her silhouette by the window. I still hear her whispering, "I miss you too," in a voice that wasn't meant for me. And in those moments, I wonder, was I too calm? Should I have yelled? Demanded answers? Or was walking away the strongest thing I could have done? What would you have done?